All right. Welcome to yet another one of these podcasts, Mexican edition today. Uh, Happy birthday to anyone whose birthday is today. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Hope you guys enjoyed a little intro. Uh, Special shout out to Rome, who's turning 1 today, and his lovely family. Um, Well, we're back. We're back. It's myself and Dylan, and we're here in a very special podcast. We're gonna be talking everything El Tri and Mexican national team. It's an emergency pod, as only a little bit more than 24 hours ago, fate has chose where we were gonna be at, and so now we're here. We're gonna talk about it, and joining me today, like I mentioned, is Mr. Dylan. Dylan, I wish I was saying we're back and we're better than ever, but I think we're back and I think we're even more worried than ever.
Yeah, I think so. I can agree too. It's been a crazy 24 hours for me. Like just thinking about it. Like I thought about it the whole time in classes. Whenever I was in class yesterday after the groups got announced, so I couldn't really focus on taking notes. Even though I got finals coming up, I was more worried about that, which is probably bad.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and obviously we have a 2 hour difference gap between you and me, so it was 9 o'clock when they started drawing the pots over there for you, and it was 7 in the morning here, and I went to work early that day. I went at 6 o'clock in the morning, and throughout my whole way over there, throughout the whole time, I was just running in my head the best case scenario. Come on, Mexico, draw Russia, draw a very capable group. And I was even more worried, not just the group that we were gonna get, but the group that we would have to face off against too, because that always is a concerning factor for me. But we got through it. We know what happened, and I guess we can start off by just saying. So, what do you think what was your initial reaction once you saw that the full group was drawn?
When the full group was drawn, I kind of just thought like it's a pretty manageable group in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I mean it's kind of good that we go ahead and get the Germany game over with. I'm hoping and praying that we salvage at least a draw. A draw would be better than a loss, obviously, but a win is what we want the most. But I'd be happy to take a draw too as well. And the group's pretty manageable to itself. If you look at the schedule and you look where the locations are going to be and everything, it's between the Germany and the next game. It's a 5-day difference. So like you're going to have players pretty well rested, and you're not going to have to be doing a lot of traveling either. And so I feel like it's a pretty manageable group. And if we happen to get the draw against Germany, I don't see why we can't go on and actually win the group.
I agree with you. And maybe that's something that a lot of people don't take in consideration. The fact that you have all these kind of outside forces that kind of are going to help you out. Like you mentioned, we get a pretty big gap in between the Germany and the Korea game, and the fact that these players are not going to have to travel as much as other teams would have to. So I think that's definitely going to be a benefit, and it's definitely going to help us out. And I think you touched upon, like you said, those 5-day gaps. A lot of people are going to be questioning, because you have Germany, and we want to be optimistic about it. We want to say we can beat or draw against Germany, but everyone else in the world is going to think Germany is going to beat Mexico, right? And but against that game, we need to put every single starting best player that we have. Regardless of the result with Germany, what is Juan Carlos Osorio going to do after that? Because there's a 5-day gap before you play Korea. And granted, that is your weakest opponent, but are you going to do the same thing that you did in the Confederations Cup and kind of put out a B team? Or do you just, forget about the rotation factor and kind of go into it and just, put in your best 11, knowing that you need to get a result here, because following up against Sweden, that's going to be a whole different story.
Yeah, I've kind of questioned the rotations too. But it's a 5-day period that you have between games. After from going from Germany to Korea, so maybe the thought of rotations can be thrown out. Maybe he won't have the idea of rotating, putting out a B team because you have the Germany game, and then you have the next day recovery rest. Obviously they're not going to train. You're not getting nothing, and then you have about 3 days of training, and then the next day you travel to get where you need to go, and then your players are pretty much rested. Your star players, like Chicharito, Ochoa, and possibly maybe Raul Jimenez, Carlos Vela, and everything like that. And so there's, to me, with such a long period of time in between games, there's no point in it. There's no reason to rotate your players. Maybe possibility, maybe one or two players, maybe one player stands out that didn't do so well against Germany that maybe Juan Carlos Osorio wants to try out possibly. But, I wouldn't expect more than one or two players changing, but there's no need for a massive rotation like we've seen Osorio do for a game that's another 5 days away after you play Germany. Like, rotations aren't needed at this point. Possibly maybe if we get the draw against Germany and then we get a win against Korea, possibly we could probably see more rotations going into the Sweden game because at that point, it's more than likely that we're going to advance to the next stage already. That's 4 points right there. Maybe the next thing we have to look out for is maybe goal differential, but that's it. But I wouldn't see why not that you have more rotations, because I think it's about what, a 4 day period between Korea and Sweden. About 4 days. I'm not quite sure. I remember the dates correctly, but it's about 4 days, I believe. And so, that's whenever Osorio's got to think, okay, now I got to make more. I got to make more differences, more rotations, possibly against Sweden. But Sweden's also going to be a difficult team against too. Really, I don't really see a difference between Korea or Sweden. They're both going to be tough teams. We're looking at was it Sweden that knocked out Italy from the World Cup?
Yeah.
And so, like, people could say that Italy probably regressed, but you're looking at a tough Sweden team too. And who's to say that Sweden doesn't convince Zlatan Ibrahimovic to come out of retirement just to play this World Cup with them? So we've got a tough task on our hand. It's a pretty tough group, and it's going to be tough getting into the round of 16 at least.
Yeah. So just to confirm that, yeah, it is a 4 day gap after Korea against Sweden, and I think I heard this from a couple of people. Tom Marshall, who I'm pretty sure you follow as well on Twitter. He said his main concern was the Sweden game, because that is technically two teams that are very level and a game that can go either way. And like you said, when Sweden eliminated Italy and they knew that they were going to the World Cup, I just assumed, Zlatan's going to come back for this World Cup, regardless of, that he retired. I think we're definitely going to see a Sweden with Zlatan, and that's deadly. The man can carry a team on his shoulders by himself. And yeah, I think the only positive thing we have is if Zlatan does go to the World Cup, he'll be facing against a goalkeeper that he has yet to ever score on, which is Ochoa. His time at Ajaccio, when he played against PSG, he was always able to keep the Swede and at bay, and he was never able to score. So that's a positive thing that we can take on if Zlatan does go to the World Cup. But I think Sweden is the most difficult game that you're gonna play, and I think Juan Carlos Osorio needs to manage this the best way possible. Yes, we talked about the rotations and how we don't like them, and his excuse was always, well, I have to, it's a short tournament. I don't have much time to rest players or all that stuff. But I guess now he doesn't really have that excuse because he has a pretty long period of time. I think he has a period. If you look at what a regular team has throughout the season and what, in comparison to what a national team has in a short tournament like this, I think they're very close. They're very similar. 5 days, 5 days that you get to rest and train, and 4 days that you get to rest and train. So I think there should be no excuse as to why he has to tinker so much with the formation and with the rotations, unless of course there's unfortunate injuries here and there. But let's hope that's not the case for this. But I think Osorio is at this point needs to know his starting 11, and he needs to know how he's going to manage this. And hopefully he manages it well, because I think you need to play your best players for all of those games. Because let's be realistic here, okay? Let's be just, as much as we want to, say from the heart as a Mexican, let's be realistic. Let's say we lose against Germany, and then Sweden beats South Korea. All right, now they're on top of us on 3 points, and so is Germany. let's say we go in against Korea, we win Korea, and we assume Germany will beat Sweden. So now Germany's on 6 points, and we're both level, and both Sweden and Mexico are level with 3, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Then you're going off, and you're going off to the third match. You're assuming already Germany's going to beat Korea. So that's
Mhm.
Germany with 9 points. They're going to top the group. And then that Sweden against Mexico game is going to be super, super important. It's going to be very vital because it depends on the goal difference. Because that Korea game, you need to have everyone out there because you need to go and just run Korea over.
Mhm.
There's
Right.
no, giving them respect or anything. You have to go and score as many goals as possible. That is a 3+ goal game for the Mexican national team. Because if you go up against Sweden and all you can get is a draw, because we know how Sweden plays, we know that they
Mhm.
sit back on the ball. Against Italy, they had 23 possession in the last game, 23 possession, and they were still able to keep Italy at bay. And that's going to show you how hard it is for the Mexican national team to break a defense that is so well organized, like Sweden's. So if you get a draw against Sweden, it's 4 points, and Sweden will also have 4 points. But who scored the most goals against Korea is, and who conceded less against Germany is definitely
Right.
going to be the ultimate factor. That is, a realistic possibility. You know, obviously, I'm hoping that the Mexican national team can beat Germany. I know it's a far stretch, but you're going into this World Cup, you have to have high hopes. You have to have that ambition to be able to beat the big dogs. And if Mexico can manage the draw, I think you're right. I think we can see Mexico top this group, with a bit of help of Germany slipping here and there, but
Mhm.
it's very possible. And this group, I know a lot of people want to categorize it as the group of death. I'm not so sure. I don't really think there's a group of death in this World Cup. But I think I think Mexico needs to be fully aware, and I think the most important thing is where they start the beginning of next year. Who are they going to be playing up against? Who are their friendlies? And I want to ask you, who who do you think is the best opponent that we can go and face to prepare ourselves against Germany?
Well, there have been some rumors going around about the Argentina and the Peru game too, as well, here in the United States, because everybody knows that Mexico has like a contract or something that has them playing so many games in the United States.
Yeah,
And their opening game is going to be against Bosnia and San Antonio here in my home state, Texas. And I could kind of see that as a preparation game, a good preparation, but it's just not a FIFA date. Like it's so
yeah,
like you're obviously not gonna get like probably not gonna get like Ochoa or Javier Hernandez or and
yeah.
Chichin,
You're not gonna get most of the Europeans.
yeah, exactly. So like what's sort of looking for? Is he looking like maybe possibly at Jorgen Dam? Is he gonna give Oberlin Pineda a chance? Is he gonna look at Goot? Is he gonna look at Rodolfo Pizarro? Because you're mostly gonna have a Liga MX based team going into that game.
Yeah,
Now, it seems it has slipped out. His Army has confirmed it because I can't remember who the broadcaster was. Let it slip that they will be playing Argentina in Dallas come March. An official FIFA date. Now, Argentina is going to be a good team either way. Because you're going to have the best of the best there. You're going to have Messi. You're going to have Di Maria. You're going to have Mascherano. So does that really kind of compare to teams that you're going to play in the group? Possibly Sweden, maybe a little, possibly more likely Germany. It's going to seem like because how many world class players Germany's got on there, and how big their depth is. Because obviously Lowe is going to keep out a lot of players, especially not a lot of players that went to the Confederations Cup. Are probably not going to be there, and
yeah,
so Argentina is definitely going to be a good team. Peru maybe too. Peru's going to be a good game too. I know Peru's been on the radar for a while because they've been trying to. They were kind of going between Mexico or United States depending on who they drew in the World Cup, and so
yeah, yeah.
Peru's a good option. Argentina's a good option. I'm just not so sure about the Bosnia game.
Yeah. I think, well, the Bosnia game I think was just arranged already. I think that was just for revenue profits and everything. Of course, we're not gonna see a full European base squad. It's gonna be all Liga MX and who knows, maybe one or two from the MLS. Um, I mean, you probably see the Dos Santos brother and Bella in that game, but I mean, aside from that, you won't get anyone else that's from high caliber from Europe. I think here's the thing that I don't like about the Argentina game. If you try to compare Argentina with Germany, I see them as two different teams at this point. They don't compare to what I think they are. You know, Argentina, regardless of what hiccups they had in the qualification period, they're still
Mhm.
Argentina. Like you said, they have Messi, Higuain, Di Maria, name it, a bunch of world class players. But playing styles, I think it's a whole
Yeah,
different it's a whole
yeah.
different style.
Obviously, the two different styles, but I mean, like, oh, it's just like, can we get really a European based team? Maybe this late, possibly like spots already filled. Teams that already have a match with somebody else. That's why it kind of we already looked and see them play like Belgium and Poland already, and we've seen positive things from both of those games. It's just that now can we get somebody, because Argentina is obviously just one of the games in those in the two games that you can play in that FIFA day period. And I think that's the only one the whole year next year that they're gonna have a FIFA date like open, for teams to play. It's just who else can you get? Like I said, Peru's on the radar, and Argentina's obviously been booked, but like, can you get somebody else besides Peru in such a short amount of time? It seems like already.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the main concerns too. But I mean, we've seen in previous World Cups, Mexico have kind of like a little European tour where, they go play like they did against Belgium and Poland. Whether that's possible, I mean, that's going to be up to the people that take care of that. I'd like to see for Mexico to go back to Wembley and play against, the likes of England, or you maybe play against, someone of that caliber, France maybe. Just teams that are at their stadium that maybe can put up a fight the way Germany's going to put up a fight, because like you said, this is Germany. This is a totally different Germany. This is not going to be the same Germany that derailed us at the Confederation Cup. That was their B team.
Mm-hmm.
We're going against like they're, obviously the A team. We're going up against the likes of Muller, Hummels, Cruz, um, Götze might, come in. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you just have
Ozil.
immense talent. Yeah,
Yeah.
also, I mean, you have immense talent from that Germany side, and the Mexican national team is gonna have to be, you know, cautious, obviously in the game, but they need to prepare themselves adequately. And I think the two teams that come up to my head, well, there's only one real team that has the same amount of talent, I think, coming up to this World Cup, and that's France.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's someone that maybe Mexico should look to play against, because you're playing against the, you know quote unquote, the best team in the world
Mm-hmm.
in your first game. And that's going to be possibly your hardest game in the whole World Cup. And if you can get something out of that, a draw, maybe even a victory, then you have every right to then say we're going to go for that fifth game. And I think it's going to be interesting to see when those dates come out, when the Mexican national team can start preparing themselves and start playing against other teams. But I think the Argentina game would still be a very good game to prepare yourself, because you're going up against great players either way. Um, and I think just hopefully they can get the Peru game too. I don't know who I'm guessing the game that's gonna be played at the Azteca. The farewell game before they take off to the World Cup. I think it's gonna be against the CONCACAF team, just to kind of hyping up the spirits, kind of score a couple goals, give the fans a little bit of morale boost before the team flies out.
Mm-hmm.
I think after that, it's important to see who do we play and how well we do before we go into the World Cup. And I think for fans' perspective, I hope it's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the real concern now is like really like who does Osorio take? To me, in my opinion, the last two qualifying games and then the two European games too that we played, I've seen kind of those as kind of like a rough draft, I guess you could say,
Yeah,
of who Osorio is possibly going to take.
yeah. I think
And
no,
it
go ahead.
just comes down to probably like four players the most. I think if I'm trying to remember the rosters off the top of my head, and not nearly remembering it that good, but possibly 4 players at the most that 4 spots really that are up for grabs still.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I think there's still, a couple spots here and there. Who's gonna take them? I mean, we still have another half end of the season to go to. Crazy things can happen from now till the roster is released. Um, and of course, we'll dive more into that once the time comes, and we'll predict who we think should be there. And because he'll give a preliminary squad. I'm guessing he's going to give about 30 players, and then from there he'll chop it up to 25, and then give his final 23. That's usually the way it goes. And that when the time comes, we'll discuss the full roster. I think we have a core, which is great because I think in order to have a good team, you need to have a foundation, and I think we found that. I think we have almost a starting 11, and I think that's good. I just hope that from here on out, Osorio plays them consistently, so they build an even stronger connection going into the World Cup. So
Not just that, but look at the percentage that you would like. If you give me your starting 11 now, what percentage of that team is actually getting minutes with their club team? And
yeah,
you
it's not a
could
lot.
probably say it's not a lot, yeah. Especially Hector Moreno. I mean, to me, that dude stepped up in the back line. Since Rafa Marquez is not there no more, and obviously, there's a pretty good chance that Rafa Marquez isn't going to be at this World Cup. Obviously, because Mexico, we're going to be playing some games in the United States for the World Cup, and with everything that's going on, Rafa Marquez is on the top of the list to possibly to
Yeah, he's
yeah.
not gonna
You know
wanna.
what I'm trying to say? He's not going to want to come to the United States just to get arrested at his team hotel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
So
get you.
yeah, so like to me, the leaders on this team just really, to me, it comes down to Andres Guardado and Hector Moreno, and like how much Hector Moreno's getting playing time at Roma right now.
Yeah, I mean, he seems
Yeah.
to be, just warming up the bench for the Roma team. And you're right. There's a lot of players coming into this World Cup with not that much minutes. I mean, if you start off from the back, you have, like you said, Hector Moreno, hardly seen
hmm
any playing time. Then you go on, Carlos Salcedo. Yes, he gets games here and there, a little bit more
but
consistent.
they've been decent performances too, if not pretty good performances. This guy isn't performing like below than what we expected. He's,
Yeah.
I guess you could say, meeting the expectation in some games. Going a little above the expectations, but not too much, in my opinion.
No, yeah, yeah. No, no, I agree with you. And then, if you go down the list, Diego Reyes, absent from
hmm
Porto. Miguel Ayun, same, absent. You see, you keep going down the line. Luckily, Andres Guardado is playing, scoring
hmm
for the first time, getting his minutes in. Let's see who else. If you look down the list, keep looking.
Hector has been doing actually pretty well with Porto too.
Yeah,
After starting the season, it looked like he wasn't going to get much playing time. That found his way back into the 11. I think he
yeah.
even captained a few games as well too.
Yeah, and that's great. And that's great news for
hmm
him because that was another worry. Like, now you have him. And now you have the Dos Santos brothers who are not getting playing time because they're only training right now in LA.
hmm
Carlos Vela is not seeing game time at all. And Real
hmm
Sociedad, because Real Sociedad is ready to part ways with him.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing, the likes of now Jimenez, who's, again, not getting that much game time. And now Chicharito, who seems to be like, since David Moyes arrived to West Ham, he was never a David Moyes player in his eyes, and it looks like now Chicharito is going to be losing game time as well. So now these are a lot of players that you cannot go into the World Cup with no real game time under their belt. So
Yeah.
all of those players come January need a transfer, whether it be a loan, anything, anywhere to get game time, anywhere to prepare themselves. Because it's one thing to train day in and day out. It's another thing to be match day fit, match day ready. And you only
Right.
get that by playing. And and I think, like, it's like you said, it's a very, very big concern because only just a handful are actually doing well and playing. And like you said, Hector Herrera, uh, Andres Guardado, Irving Lozano, Guillermo Ochoa. I mean, at the top of the head, those are only four people that really are performing.
Possibly Tecatico too, but I mean, I think yesterday Porto played, but he was suspended, I think, so
Yeah.
we didn't see him at all.
Yeah. He was suspended, so he wasn't involved in the action. But I mean, he's one of those players that he's gonna get the game time. But I mean, whether he stands out and is brilliant, we'll have to wait to see his performances. Of course, one can only imagine what the toll of his family situation has gotten him in. But hopefully, he's risen above that and will continue to perform.
Mhm.
But
How many? Well, I think the next question we can kind of really ask, like obviously, like you're gonna have a bunch of European-based players in this squad, but like how many Liga MX players do you think make the final cut?
um, Oh, well, I think you throw Oribe in there for the base that you don't have that much strikers, and he's one of the best strikers in the Liga MX. And plus, we've talked about him immensely on the show before on how well he'll play for the team, and he will definitely you know you know just kind of go at it and always give his best. So I think you chuck in there Oribe. You chuck in there Nestor Araujo because he's done well with the national team and at Santos too. Let's see. I mean, Nestor Araujo, Rio Peralta. Maybe you chuck in Javier Aquino, who's had a pretty
Mm-hmm.
good performance too this season. Um, it's a little bit difficult trying to go down the line because it's like who's really stand out. Who really has had that performance. We're at the stage where there's the final four teams that are quote unquote supposed to be the top four teams at this point. If you're at the semifinal, you know, out of those four teams, can you name four players that you'd like on the Mexican national team, like just straight off the top of your head?
Like we said, Oribe probably.
Yeah.
Oribe, I feel like he'll bring a lot of good stuff to the national team as too. Javier Aquino, um, maybe Hugo, not Hugo,
Hugo
Hugo
Ayala.
Gonzalez. No, Hugo
Oh, Hugo. Sorry.
Gonzalez. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the guy's been mistreated a little bit, because you're talking about like we got Ochoa. Obviously Osada's gonna go with Ochoa, but then who do you have next? You have Jesus Corona, and then who could be your third goalkeeper? And
Yeah, I think it'd be great. It'd be kind of like what La Volpe did for Ochoa, and bring him in just to be the third string keeper. But you give him that experience and maybe give him that nudge that hey, once these guys go, you're the next one up. You know?
yeah, exactly. I just feel like like I feel like possibly Hugo Gonzalez could have went to the Gold Cup at least, but he
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, but so that's what kind of disappointed me a little bit too. And he's been having tremendous performances in Monterrey, and
Yeah.
I don't see why he can actually be at least the third string keeper for now, but I don't see why in the future he can't be the starting goalkeeper for El Tri.
Yeah, and that's a topic I'd like to talk about in full. Maybe on another podcast. Maybe once after the World Cup. Maybe we talk about who is the next generation to take over these people because I think there's a lack of depth in a couple positions and
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit of worrisome for Mexico. But that's for the future. That's for a later time. We'll discuss what's going on right here and right now. And like you said, Hugo Gonzalez, I think has merited a call up. He's gotten called up before, but he hasn't really played. Doesn't even have one cap with the Mexican
Mm-hmm.
national team. So I think out of everything, he deserves that. And I think that'd be great for him to get that experience and be able to just kind of, shadow, the likes of Ochoa and see, what is it like to play in these big games against Germany, against Sweden, you know, crucial games against, Korea, all that stuff. I think for that, I think Hugo Gonzalez should definitely be the third string goalkeeper because, as well as Cota has been for Guadalajara, he's practically the third string goalkeeper. And
Mm-hmm.
why would you take someone that's just as old as your two preferred goalkeepers? Might as well bring someone in younger and kind of teach them the ropes and have them experience that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely learned a lot, especially from Jesus Corona too. Who this is if he goes to the World Cup, this probably be his last one really.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I
I mean,
I I, I agree with you.
I can still see him playing with Azules, but I mean, like, now I don't. He'll probably be done with the national team. I mean, like, look at Oscar Perez. The guy's like what 42, he's still going.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But I mean, you wouldn't want him in goal
no,
against Germany,
I
right?
wouldn't want him in goal though. But I'm not trying to say like I'm not about. What I'm trying to get at is like I'm not saying Jesus Corona is not a good keeper. I mean, he is. I mean, because like look at Oscar Perez. You know, he's
Yeah.
he's up there in age, but he's still good in net, and I feel like Jesus Corona can still go. But as far as the national team, you know, I think he'll
I think he'll be
probably
done after this World Cup. Yeah, and
yeah.
it's gonna be a lot about a lot of those players too. And we'll discuss that again in detail maybe in the future because you're gonna be thinking, well, it's Corona's last World Cup. Oriol Peralta said this is his last World Cup. Um, there's a lot of aging players that you kind of look at and you say, well, are they really gonna be at the top of their game 4 years from now too? And it's one of those things where again we'll talk about the next generation and whether Mexico has a lack of depth there and if there should be something to worry about. But like I said, we'll discuss about later. But in regards to the Gonzalez thing, I think we both can agree that it's it'd be a pretty good and nice thing for Osorio to do, and I think hopefully he'll uh he'll watch and he'll agree with us and take Hugo Gonzalez. But like you said, after that, maybe Hugo Ayala, Edson Alvarez too. I mean, after that, it's kind of hard to pick someone out from there and just be like, yeah, he's definitely got to go to the World Cup.
Yeah,
It's hard.
possibly maybe too Jesus Gallardo too. He's been
Yeah.
he's been doing okay too as well for the national team.
Yeah, but I mean, take in consideration what he's done with Pumas, and you see where Pumas is at in the table where they finished, and didn't make Liguilla, and now you're at the stage. Would you take anyone from Morelia to the World Cup?
I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I can't really think of nobody now.
yeah, right. You don't see anyone standing out. The players that do stand out from Morelia, of course, are their foreigners. The same way that Monterrey and Tigres, and to some extent America, their star players have been their their foreign players. So
They're keeper, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, you don't have someone that you can see like, oh yes, this guy's got to go to the World Cup for Mexico. It just doesn't work that way. If Aviles Hurtado was able to be a candidate for Mexico, I think you definitely
Definitely.
sign him up, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the guy's literally tearing the league apart. So, um, I mean, from there you don't really have anyone else. So, I think you know I think we went in a darker route for this podcast, trying to say the starters aren't really getting minutes, and the people that are getting minutes aren't really good enough for the World Cup. But I think if come January we can fix all of that, we can have most of our players join another club, whether it be permanent or on loan, get minutes, go into this World Cup, play against the likes of Argentina, France, Peru, those good tough opponents, then I think things are looking good for us.
Yeah, it's just getting those minutes, like we keep saying, like pounding it, like especially like Raul Jimenez, possibly Chicharito, the Dos Santos brothers. I know they've been linked to Monterrey, you know, going on a loan until the MLS starts and everything. But the like we said, I mean, I'll stress it. I'll stress it as much as I can. It's about getting those minutes. It's about playing at the highest level you can. Not necessarily like playing in Europe, but playing at the highest level you can, pushing yourself to getting better every day. And if you want it that bad, then you'll go and get it and push yourself as much until you get the call from Asado that said, "Hey, I want you to be on this roster for the national team." It's
No, yeah,
just yeah, you pushing yourself, man. Because to me, I don't believe in limitations, man. If you believe in limitations, then you're just limiting yourself to what you can be.
definitely.
So yeah, so I mean, if you want it, man, are you the only person stopping yourself is you.
Yeah, and I think media and people like us, maybe don't help the situation. The fact that we are, we can't stress, but to always, kind of focus on the negative. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
this kind of I don't know, way a process in Mexican media and followers here in the national team that we kind of just focus on the very negative fact. And we see that we play against Germany and the fact that our players aren't getting that much minutes and all that stuff. And we kind of compile all of that and we say, negative, negative, negative. And we kind of in a way, don't really give our team that much hope. And I think and someone who stressed this out very much was Cuauhtemoc Blanco when they asked him recently about the draw, and he said, he's like, all I see is all these people saying negative things that we're gonna, Germany's gonna, run right through us and this and that. And he said, you know, he's like, we shouldn't be saying that. We should be giving our full support. And he's like, and I have confidence in this Mexican national team that they will be able to do what they want to, be able to do and make history. And I think we need more people like that. I think we need more influence in the Mexican media to kind of give that optimistic view, to kind of give that optimistic cheer to the Mexican national team. Because I can only imagine as a player, you turn on the news and all you see is you're getting battered and you haven't even played yet. And it's I guess it's got to be a little bit discouraging to hear that from your own nation.
Yeah, I mean, like we're either gonna be with the team or you're not. I mean, you either go and support like your heart out the full 90 minutes, or you just don't show up at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're gonna badmouth this, like we're gonna badmouth the team, not give them a chance, not be able to show them what they can actually do. Because I mean, like time has changed from the Confederations Cup to what we've seen against Belgium and Poland.
Yeah,
and, yeah, and I'm not saying like that's gonna stick, because it could change between now and then too as well. But I mean, if you're not hopeful from what you saw against Belgium and Poland, then you obviously not seeing the good. You're mostly seeing the bad. Because I guess the only thing we could take away bad from the Belgium game was probably the 3 goals that they scored against us.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you saw the fight. You see us, scoring the 3 goals too as well. And and then look what we did to Poland. We dominated possession. We kept the ball. It's just that does Osorio now see too as well what he can take away from those games and possibly use it now against Germany. It's just coming down to the wire, coming down to that second wind. You get in that second, the players getting the second wind and pushing themselves too as well. But not just them, but also us as fans. We got to stick with the team the full 90 minutes. The full 3 games were guaranteed until we whether we come out in the round of 16, get to the quinto partido, and then who knows, they or go home. Yeah, it's just I'll always be there the full 3 games no matter what.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I think most every Mexican is. I think they're just a little bit more harsh on them, whatever their criteria may be. But I think it's like I mentioned before. A soccer's memory is very short term, and when they do have a long term memory, it's usually always some negative. Why we can't drop that 7-0 against Chile whenever we talk about Juan Carlos Osorio, as that's his stamp, that's his trademark. They're never gonna live down the fact that he lost to Germany 4-1. If he beats Germany, then boom, all of that will most likely go away, and they will say their praise to Osorio. But it's a stigma that we have, that it's just we tend to dwell on the negatives sometimes, and I don't think coming into this competition we should be like that. I think we should focus, because if you think about that Belgian game, I don't know about you, but personally I feel like we won that game. Whenever I think when we played Belgium and that great performance, I feel like we won, even though we got that draw. It gives you a sense that we won. Just because of the way that the team performed and the way that the hope that they're giving you, and hopefully, we can ride on that and we can go on that and perform and have a great World Cup.
Yeah, it just comes to show that what they showcased that game, especially the Poland game too, what we can actually do when Osorio feels the right stuff. I mean, even Kevin De Bruyne came out after the game and said that Mexico were just tactically better.
Yeah,
and and it showed too. Scoring 3 goals on Courtois too as well, and Courtois just a fabulous in goal with Chelsea too as well. He was in Atletico Madrid too. and just to score for us to score 3 goals. I mean, like look at that defense too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't know much about the Poland team myself besides Lewandowski and a couple other players, you know. But I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
they obviously didn't have Lewandowski that game either.
Yeah, they were missing
But I mean,
a lot.
yeah, yeah. But I'm saying like, just you just gotta believe, like you just gotta believe that these guys can do it. You know, it just comes down to them playing the full 90 minutes, and then also obviously fielding the best 11 that he thinks going to be good against Germany come the first game of the World Cup, and if his tactics are going to work or not, you know.
No, I agree with you, and I agree with you. And maybe let's talk about that, and let's expand on Mexico doing better. So let's assume that our we advance, we fall as second. We fall as second in the group. We're gonna be paired against Group E, and I have it here on my phone. It's Group E is as follows: Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica, and Serbia. Let me just double check that. Yep, it's Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica, and Serbia. So that's Group E. Off of that, straight away, you think Brazil tops the group, right? I mean, you would assume the way Brazil's playing and the way they're going, Brazil's going to top the group. Switzerland might maybe get there. Who knows? Costa Rica could put up a good fight too. You can never discount Serbia. They have some great players. From that, we assume Germany tops our group. Mexico stays in second. Our opponent would be Brazil, and that is something that a lot of people have been saying. Brazil's going to be our opponent. How do you feel going? Hearing that and seeing that the group that we were paired up to, you see Brazil is most likely going to be our fallen opponent, and they are the barrier that we need to get past in order to make history.
You kind of go back kind of to the 2014 game. I mean, like that was I guess in my opinion, it was kind of pretty even game, you know.
Really, because the way I remember it, I feel like they were just hammering on us.
No, to me, I felt it was pretty even a little bit. I mean, I guess because all I remember about that game really is me jumping up all the time because Ochoa would make a save. You know,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know, but it just seems to me that like Brazil probably can get a little bit too big headed. I mean, because like look how they kind of started off their World Cup. I mean, in 2014, like they had obviously they had already qualified because they were the host nation.
Yeah,
like, and like going against Croatia that first game, you know, they didn't really start off too hot. But like I don't know, it's just I think if we can contain Neymar somehow, and possibly maybe we can have a chance because because at such a young age, Neymar has captained his country already as well.
Yeah.
And Neymar is playing like at the highest level right now with PSG, and Neymar being this like
he's a poster boy for them.
Yeah, and $200 million transfer Neymar is quarterly too, and I don't know, like our chances could be slim of getting to that historic game. You know, finally breaking the curse that we've seen. What is it, six World Cups in a row now?
Yeah,
just finishing around 60.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's just kind of hard for me to like really say now until I actually see Brazil play and see how we play after the Germany game. In my opinion, I wouldn't really say anything during. Like, I don't know. It's just hard for me to like really put it in words to like say like how I feel about a possible Brazil-Mexico matchup. You know, I would like to see it just because I would like to see if they can score on Ochoa again.
Really? But yeah, well, I guess it's a good test. And you know, the way I think about it is bring it, you know, and you're coming to the World Cup and you have the illusion to go far, then you're gonna have to play against the best teams in the world. And you need to showcase that you are one of those teams. So it's one of those kind of scenarios where you just go for it. You just go for it. And yeah, granted, Brazil is not the Brazil of past that we know that, you know, used to just kind of just, you know, terrorize everything and be all about, you know, the jogo bonito and all that stuff. Now, you know, they shifted, and granted, uh, their uh, their qualification was very good. But
Mhm.
Brazil has a tendency sometimes to slip in big occasions, like you've mentioned. You know, there's times where they don't show up, and I think, like you said, if you can frustrate those very creative and talented players, then you kind of keep them at bay, and you get yourself a better opportunity to advance. Now, with that said, this is a Brazil that is packed and loaded with talent.
Mhm.
And people just assort Brazil, and you say, okay, Neymar, but that team goes far more than Neymar. You have Coutinho, who
Mhm.
today just was amazing for Liverpool. Just absolutely can tear down a defense like crazy. You have the likes of Gabriel Jesus, who we see in the national team is scoring time and time again, and even with Manchester City. You have the likes of Dani Alves, who, yeah, granted he's old, but he gives you that experience and that presence, just the same way Marcelo will give you. And maybe that's their weakness, because they like to run up the flanks and everything, and maybe we can capitalize on that. But you still have their goalkeeper's really really good. Ederson, showed what he can do in Benfica, now showing it in Manchester City. Um, you look at Marquinhos, who plays with Neymar as well in PSG. In the midfield, they have countless of players that can come in. Paulinho, who seems to come back to life after moving to Barcelona. So
Mhm.
this is a very talented a pool that Brazil is going to be able to choose from, and we can't just associate everything with Neymar. Granted, he's going to be their main threat, but anyone else can do just as much damage. So I think Mexico, I think you're right. The best way for us to feel how this is going to go is after that Germany game. And if we can get a result, then I think who's to say we can't? And who's to say we can't? We can also avoid Brazil. Maybe they mess up. Maybe they don't top their group. Maybe they go second, or maybe they don't even get out of the group, or maybe we top the group. So there's countless of possibilities, and it's so hard to kind of have a visualization of everything. But I think you're right. I think the first basic step to this is seeing what happens in that Germany game.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, especially after the Germany game, but we could probably make a rough analysis, especially after whether we play Argentina or Peru first. The warm up games. Most people say
Yeah, yeah. I
maybe we
mean,
can kind of see after that too.
yeah, we're gonna feel of everything after that too. But I think the best sense that we're gonna be able to have is after the Germany game, because you've played the atmosphere and all that stuff that goes and ties between that. But I think the best case scenario is for us to just wait out to see what the team looks like coming into the game after Germany. And who knows? Hopefully, fate dealt its hand our way, and we can avoid certain games like the Brazil game, and maybe worry about that coming into the round of into the what is it, round of
I think.
the round of 16. Yeah, yeah. So, if we beat if we can beat the likes of Germany and Brazil, and we can advance out of that round of 16, then how far do you think this team can go?
Um, I would just say the fifth game. That's it.
The 15, that's it. With
Yeah, because nobody has the experience of playing beyond the round of 16.
That's true.
Dating back for 6 years, and can Osorio actually lead the team past the fifth game if we reach the infamous sixth game or the fifth game. So it's just like we said too. It's kind of hard to tell now until we've actually seen the team play as a whole together, and who Osorio decides to field. I believe that we can at least reach around the 16. It's kind of hard to say after that, but it's just nobody has the experience playing beyond the round of 16. Obviously, from like I said, it's like 6 years, and we obviously haven't had a coach for I guess a 4 year cycle
Yeah.
really either for a while either. And we already know that Juan Carlos Osorio is not coming back to the national team after the World Cup's over.
Yeah, well, him and his staff are just waiting to see how the World Cup ends. Obviously, if it's not a good one, he's just gonna part ways. And if it's a good one and he wants to challenge, then He'd be a crazy man to accept it, but he'd go another 4 years. I mean, you kind of have to feel for the guy. He's been nothing but battered from the media, from the
And
Mexican fans,
mhm.
just everything. I mean, and even though sometimes you might not agree with the poor guy, you kind of have to have that sentimental factor that this guy's this is his profession, and he has a great backstory, from being an immigrant worker here in the States to coaching, all the way
Mhm.
over there in England. I mean, he has a great story, and he seems like a great person, but you just kind of have to feel for the guy because I personally, I don't know if I would be able to take on that responsibility again for another 4 years. Imagine, I mean, the guy must be a little bit crazy if he does accept the another 4 year process.
Yeah, who knows though? I mean, that's a wild way to us really.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
guess
mean,
we
I get it.
really
That's
talk
that's
about, but I mean, like, but it's still a long ways away too.
yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, it's a
So,
possibility more than anything. But um, so
mhm.
we talk groups. We talked expectations, and we kind of just gave our basis of what we felt like, when that game, when the groups were put out. Um, I think it's gonna have to be a World Cup. It's gonna have to be Chucky Lozano's World Cup if Mexico wants to go far. I
It
think we
really
can.
does. It's because really he's the only one scoring for
Yeah,
his team, like his club,
yeah,
and it's just if we can get other people to score, like Chichi to score, Waddle will get more minutes. Vela obviously not going to get much until January. I mean, I mean, it just we can't let it all fall on Chucky too as well.
yeah. I mean, you can't overwhelm the guy. He as good as he is.
Yeah.
He's a one. It can't just only be a one man show. He's gonna have to have um some support, and hopefully, for everyone's sake, that all these other players, excuse me, that are not getting team minutes, that they do so, and
Hmm.
that's the only thing we can hope for, and hopefully for the best.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can do is wait for January to see if anybody goes anywhere, loan or permanent transfer.
Yeah, yeah, but basically, I think if we sum up, just kind of this reaction, it's kind of like, well, damn, we lucked out in a group, but it's like you said, it's manageable, it's doable, and now it's just got to go at it.
Yeah, just prepare the best way you can possibly. We talked about that too as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that sums it up. Just quick, any other groups that came out that you're kind of looking like, oh, this looks like an interesting group.
Um, what group was it? I think the group Argentina's in. I don't know, but like I think Iceland and Argentina just caught my eye the most. Like,
Yeah, that one seems to be an interesting one too. Argentina, Croatia, Iceland, Nigeria. All really good teams, to be honest. You could even see an Argentina struggling in this group because
mhm,
you have the likes of Croatia who have Modric, Mandzukic, just all these players.
mhm,
Iceland, of course, which took has been taking everyone by storm. Last
mhm,
Euros and everything that they've been able to accomplish. Nigeria with the very talented and pacey, attacking players, and then of course Argentina's Argentina. Um, I think that, yeah, that group stood out to me too. Um, I think I like the France and the England group. I think France could easily walk through all these teams like Peru, Denmark, and Australia, but it should be interesting to see if Peru can go and actually get out of the group stage, or will it be
mhm.
Denmark with a Christian Eriksen who seems to be on fire. So and Belgium and England group, it seems kind of straightforward for those two teams to advance, but um, like I said, you kind of just never know. Panama could easily surprise one of them, and not a lot of people are going to give too much credit to Tunisia, And
Yeah, I was about to say that too. I'll probably keep an eye out for Panama just to see how they do.
yeah,
Be
should be
interesting.
interesting.
Interesting to see how they play out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was entitled to be full a Mexican national team podcast, but it kind of be a little bit uh untrue to us if we didn't give a quick mention to what's happening today later on in a couple hours with America and their semifinal game against Tigres. So I don't know if you have a little bit of time, maybe we just go over this real quickly.
What? America plays today? They're gonna show up.
Yeah, I guess that's I mean that's really what everyone's probably thinking, you know. Quick recap of what happened, you know, on Wednesday. You know, America obviously lost. You know, many people claim it's a BS penalty call, which it is, but you know, still, did America do enough to win that game? No. I think Tigres, walked away with a fair result. I would have been better with a 1-1 draw. Um, but now we're going into the Volcan with uh with the realization that you need to score 2 goals. And what are your thoughts? What are your expectations for later on today?
First of all, what are goals? At
Oh
this
wow!
point, I don't know what a goal is anymore.
Seriously, I mean the
No,
drought
but
continues.
I, I honestly don't know. Which is, I mean,
Do you have a little bit of
I
hope?
mean, yeah, I have some hope. Maybe Oliver come in clutch and just score two right off the back.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's like I mean, like I told you, I didn't get to watch the game because I couldn't find a live stream, and obviously don't have cable in my dorm, and
yeah,
I was busy working on my TV package I've been telling you about for
yeah,
work.
yeah.
So I didn't get to watch it, but I kept up with it with SofaScore and Twitter, and Edson and Guido, the only people that stood out to me. And
Just to give you a recap, if you were watching it, it's frustrating. Oh, frustrating everywhere. And I think you saved yourself from not watching that game. I think the only winner there was you. Um, it's frustrating. You want to tear your hair out sometimes because it's just again, if you put it in a quick word, there is no end product from this team. Darwin looked horrible. He looked like the Darwin that just doesn't care anymore. That's how bad he was. You know, the only thing you can rely on is that the defense is going to be somewhat solid. You know, and hopefully, like you said, Oribe comes in clutch, scores 2 goals, and then for some miracle, we park the bus and somehow advance into the final, which is going to be most likely against Monterrey, which again is not going to be an easy game. Um,
no,
but we're going into the Volcan, like I mentioned last podcast. It's our last visit there in a Liguilla setup was not the best, of course, because we lost in penalties that final. But if there's one player who I think above everyone else that is looking to just get America started and kind of get one over Tigres, it's gonna be Edson Alvarez. You know, the kid had barely been debuting, scores what could have been the winning goal against Tigres in that match. And then, of course, we know everything that happened with the red card between Goats and Sambuesa and everything that went on. But I think Edson kind of has that in the back of his head, like, like, damn, that was my first trophy with,
mm-hmm.
and I think we're gonna see a very good game from him, and hopefully a very good game from everyone else. It looks like we have a full roster. It looks like Cecilio will most likely be on the bench or start. Heavy rumors linking him with a move away from Coapa. So this could possibly be his last game in an America
Mm-hmm.
shirt, whether that be on a loan or whether he leaves the club indefinitely. Um, Still, you want to see the best out of this guy. And really, you want to see the best out of every player out there. I know a lot of fans probably are going into this game with not a lot of hope, and who would blame them? Especially the way, like you said, what's a goal? The drought continues. This
Yeah,
3 consecutive games with no goal. It's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And they had opportunities towards the last couple minutes, so it's not to say that we're not creating, we're not finishing. It's really the problem.
mm-hmm.
So
You heard
I.
it. You heard it here first, man. Gino Romero's gonna score.
Hey, and then what? We write off his success and sell him off and bring in someone else.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I I hope he goes a little bit more aggressive for this game, Piojo.
You're gonna
Again,
have to.
yeah, I mean, we talked about it. What are the chances that he's going to use a back five? And I told you, that's what he's comfortable with. Now he has to go get a result. So you can't go so defensive anymore. You kind of, you
Yeah.
go out there, you go, you do your thing, you score your 2 goals. Hell's chuck in 8 defenders for all I care. But it's be aggressive. I think that's what the fans want. They want passion today.
hmm
I think if America goes out there and they show passion, they show courage, and they score two goals, and Tigre scores four on them, I'd just be happy enough to see that this team had fight in them and they were able to score. I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, and not a lot of us have hope of America reaching into the next round, but like they say, this is football and anything can happen.
hmm So we'll just wait and see tonight.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a stressful one, but hopefully it's a good one. Um, hopefully it's hopefully next time we talk, it's America going into the next into the next nightmare, which is gonna be Monterrey in the final, and
hmm
hopefully it's not us talking about what could have happened if America scored this and that.
Yeah, hopefully. We're praying.
Well, I think that wraps it up for us today. We spoke Mexican national team, a little bit of America, and a little bit of hope. Just a lot, to kind of take in, and I think we did a pretty good job about it. So, thank you, Dylan, for again taking the time out to talk to us. Hope you have a great Saturday. Hopefully, America doesn't ruin it. Hopefully, they make it better. So, if you guys haven't done so, make sure you guys follow him down on Twitter. Check him out. He did a what was it? A skit or what was it?
Oh yeah, the office skit with what we did at work. Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure you guys check it out. His office skit where for him, what was it? Ram TV.
Yeah, MTV.
Um, yeah. So just hilarious stuff. It's the only reason why I got out of bed, to be honest. It got me cracking up. So great work from there, and make sure you guys go check that out. Give you guys the support to the man himself, and I wish you for the best, man.
All right, thanks, man. You too, man.
Alrighty, man. We'll be in contact soon, and for everyone out there, hope you guys enjoy your Saturday, and hopefully, America does not disappoint. Good night, everybody.